Video making the rounds, which admits of several things at once. A leftist saying abortion is violent murder against persons by mothers. And ooh boy, that's amazing. We're going to be talking about that video today. And the big question is, now that the left is admitting it, abortion is violent murder of persons by mothers, will the right admit it? No, I'm trying to say that like in a way that will make you enticed. Yeah, spoiler alert. But today with me is my good buddy, Nick Stumphauser. We're going to be talking smack the way we do. What's up, Nick? Thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to play this video. And as always, we're going to play it analog by the phone through the mic power, the sound power for you guys. Stay tuned. Yeah, it's super advanced. As always, stay tuned for Rules for Retrogrades. We will get to it real soon. Do you have that thing queued up?
It's right here. You want to play it?
Yeah, a couple things. First off, you guys have seen Nicholas Stumphauser, director of 6 documentaries on this channel before. You're going to be seeing a lot more of him. Not only do we work on many projects, Escape, Return, Matchmaking, Return, Us, whatever that is. But also, he's going to be a new regular every week on Catholic masculinism, Christian masculinism, whatever the C stands for in CMask on Fridays. So he's one of the 4 regulars now. Dr. Michael Robillard is going to be working on some other projects in his personal life. And so Nick is in, Mike is out. We love Mike. He's a co-author on one of my 4 best books I've ever written. So don't go to college.
All 4 are the best.
All 4 are tied for best. Anyway, Nick will be a regular, so you're going to be seeing a lot more of this beautiful visage. It's super sweet. But also, we just want to shout out realestateforlife.org. This is the best business on the internet as far as I'm concerned. Get out of your blue state, get to a red state today. Go to realestateforlife.org. Support this channel. We really need your support. It's now the beginning of a new month. We need help on locals and subscribe. Start connected to this video. That's how you support the channel. If you want to support me or Steph, go to timothyjgordon.com and click donate. Finally, if you're a young person or even a middle-aged person looking for love, the best way to do it is through Catholic tradish matchmaking. Go to www.retrvrn.us. And that's going to be, it's Nick's company. It's going to be myself, Steph, Will Nolan, his wife Rachel, pairing you personally in a way where you can get married within 6 to 12 months. We say 18, but we didn't want to scare people off. It's really 6 to 12.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, it's just for the real deal people. I made it for analogs of myself, people who are my age who have recognized that Catholic Match and then the secular apps like Hinge, blackpeoplemeet.com, Farmers Only, that these were wanting in many different ways. Mm-hmm. And so I developed this to filter out most of the nonsense, the cultural nonsense mm-hmm. that we as young people encounter. So anywhere from men and women 18 to 40, we're trying to shoot for the 20s to 30s, to early 20s and early 30s is our target audience because, for all of the obvious reasons, they have the best shot at having an efficient courtship to marriage sales funnel sort of thing. So yeah, if you're young and serious, for women we only accept, or for men we only accept Catholics, but for women, if you're a Christian and willing to convert upon marriage to your fair man, then you're welcome to apply as well. It's free for women. We made it free for women because we care about patriarchy. That's the main thing, is we're trying to build the patriarchy,
right? The
virtuous Catholic patriarchy. So it's free for women. It's $1,000 for men. And you're going to talk to either Tim and Steph or Will and Rachel, or we're going to get to know you. We're going to get to know your preferences and what you're looking for, what stage of life you're at, and we're going to hook you up with a guy or a gal who's complementary to that. And who knows? You might be married by the middle of next year if you take it as seriously as we do, and we take it extremely seriously.
You might even meet a girl if you're a guy.
Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
it's kind of the guarantee.
I would say it's fair of you to just as a point of discourse, it's fair for you to characterize that for blackpeoplemeet.com, young Caucasian Catholics might be a blind spot. Right? I mean, think about it.
It's somewhat exclusionary.
Yeah, it's a little bit exclusionary.
Yeah.
And I don't know if young white people write in the com box if you've gone on there trying to meet, if you're a young white person trying to meet a young white person, it's very frowned upon, even by the time. So we wanted to cater to our people too, which is Catholics. Well, you know, Catholics, any color of the bow, but I mean mainly whites, because that's mainly who's in the audience here. So if you're a young white person who's been hurt, confused, rejected by blackpeoplemeet.com, come on over to return.us and we'll help you out.
We'll take the sloppy seconds.
We'll take all you low-class whites.
Yeah.
Second-class whites.
Yeah. I just wanted to put that out there. That's www.return.us. And it's us. It's all of us. So you get your own relationship, but we're all judging it. So, no, it's a great thing, and we've made many couples so far. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got an update today that one of our courageous, stalwart young men is flying out to meet one of our young women. We're rooting for it. We're very excited, and that's the initiative that we're looking for here. It's like, you know, once we these recommendations, these suggestions, they're thoughtfully considered. There's a lot of discussion between you and Steph and Will and Rachel, and then you and Will and Rachel and Steph, and there's just a lot of dialogue going on, and a lot of perspective brought to the table. So when we make these recommendations, like if the guy takes it seriously, and hops on a plane or hops in his car and drives out to meet him, like there's just, you know, we're in a society that's so, I feel like such a boomer. We live in a society today where these kids, they want that instant gratification, and that swipe left mentality. But what I knew was invaluable when I brought this up to you and Will was that the men and the women are purchasing. I mean, the women aren't purchasing, but they are purchasing the peace of mind of, first of all, your discernment, but second of all, objectivity.
Right. Top-down objectivity.
Top-down objectivity from, you know, you've had a lot of dating experience. Will's had a lot of dating experience, and both of you have robust family lives. And you guys have I know this firsthand, both from just talking to Will, but also being friends with you for years now. You have navigated the rough waters, both from the dating world, but then also within marriage. Like, you can't make it 15 years of marriage and not have really thought all of this stuff through, and then lived it out too, which was exciting for me as like the guy who came up with the business. Was like, I think this is a good idea, knowing that like I can see you and how you live your life. And I tell you this all the time. I'm like, okay, I want that. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to have this dynamic with my wife. That's what's being brought to bear in this company. Yeah. And you are never going to find that again unless two other people of equivalent moral fiber and experience decide to start it. And I would say go for it. Like, I'm not protective of this like IP franchise, like this is a Chick-fil-A and you can't take it. Like, this is what should have been happening. Right. That's kind of the point of the company, is this is what should have been happening with people's fathers, and it didn't. So, well, you know, here's your father, and luckily you're not a boomer, so you're not making you and Will aren't. I mean, Will's I think he's younger than you by a little bit, right?
Yeah, like 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years younger. So you're getting like that perfect nexus of experience where you've seen the failures of the boomer generation, and you're close enough in age with, like, I mean, most of your friends are people like my age here. Right. So you understand like both gens. So I'm rambling now, but
no, and
I just get jazzed about it.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Well, people out there, come to return.us. Will and I are your daddies now. That's what he's trying to say.
I'm changing the subtitle. Return.us.
We're your daddies now.
We're your daddies now.
I guess I would be the mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rachel?
and
I will never
and
call
Rachel.
you that, Steph. Not going to happen.
does that mean you will call me daddy?
Well, off air.
It's very exciting. Yeah, we have literally someone going out today. We're checking in with the peeps, and it either goes south quick, which is part of the matchmaking process, recalibrate, or it's like amazing, and we're like keeping up with 5, 6, 7 couples that are still together, going strong. You're hoping they go all the way to the finish line, and we get updates periodically every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's been pretty amazing that this happened this summer. Now, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've just gotten used to the naysayers. You know, I've been doing this for 5 years now. It's like 5 years this month. I guess last month it was 5 years that I started regularly podcasting 3 times a week for 5 years. I feel like I should do like an anniversary show or something. It's not the anniversary of me doing it on the channel. It's the 4-year anniversary. But starting with TNT, it's like, wow, this is just a huge part of my life. 3 times a week for 5 years, every week for 5 weeks, for 5 years. And the biggest aspect of doing this is the naysayers who, when we announced in, I think, late May, early June, here's what we're going to do, Catholic matchmaking. Everyone launched into their fish wifeiest shit talk, like,
Yeah, that was my
falsetto.
first foray into Catholic Twitter since like my reversion.
I know.
I had literally just followed you on Catholic Twitter and seen like a couple people be like, "Hey, Catholicism is cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And then I was like, "Hey guys, here's a product," and they're like, "Die!" I was like, "Whoa, bro!" And you're like, "Dude, this is literally what I've been dealing with for."
This is what Catholics on Twitter do. You
amazing.
people out there, parish orphans and retrogrades, are cool, but
Yeah.
most of you aren't on Twitter. You know, I'd say 75% of you aren't on Twitter. If you are, you use it a normal amount. The Catholics who are on Twitter like all day, who will immediately respond to any salutary, salubrious, genuinely needed product we put on the marketplace, and we have lots more coming your way that are absolutely needed and absolutely salubrious. They're just going to say no because these people are bitter. They're full of ressentiment. They're afraid of their own shadow.
Yeah,
And
it's bizarre.
and you can't skip natural virtue for supernatural virtue, or else you become a shell of a man or a woman.
And also like doesn't dissuade us.
No.
Not even slightly, not even a little bit. You and I have never been like, "Man, were we wrong?"
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of just like a fly in your face. So it's not, and then it always ends up being correct. I told you about the same thing with like Died Suddenly and all the other sort of projects that we've worked on. It's like, it just means you're over target. That's
Right.
all. You're not, we're not getting any kind of nuanced criticism here. And then the receipts speak for themselves. The success of the product speaks for itself. So like, just, if you don't got something nice to say, don't say it.
Right. Nah, they don't like that though. But so it is. That's return.us, retrn.us. We're going to be talking about it on Elliot Holst's channel in a couple of weeks. It might be valuable to shift a couple sea masks his way to introduce you, the new guy. You're already introduced here. But it's related to the abortion issue. Now, this is an issue, today's topic is near and dear to my heart because, one, for so long, like marginal Catholics, marginal conservatives, or better, have said, is abortion a violent crime, a violent murder crime? Yeah, obviously yes, right? And normies, center-rightists and leftward, will say no. And then there will be fake outrage by slightly right of center-right conservatives and Catholics going, of course it's a violent crime. What the heck is wrong with you, guy? And then you're like, cool, I'm glad that you recognize the obviousness of this proposition. But then you go, so do all violent crimes require criminals? And they'll go, oh, whoa, pump the brakes. And it's nonsensical. And this happened when Taylor Marshall and I interviewed Abby Johnson on TNT years ago, and we had Father Dave Nix with us, where Taylor thought she was going to run off the set like angry. And I was like, well, I ask what I ask. I mean, that's you guys out there who did follow TNT, you loved us for our differences. My approach is straight ahead. Don't poll. Don't do anything. Half the time, say it based on a proposition, but maybe I could have thought about it more beforehand. Taylor's the opposite. He market tests everything. There's plus and minus either way, I guess. But Father Nix was like, well, Abby's my guest. Go ahead and ask her. So I said, okay, we all agree, Abby, that abortion's a violent crime, and stupid, extra dumb normies will say no, and they're the only ones saying no. Abortion's obviously a violent crime. We're gonna talk about it in great detail today. But now, do violent crimes require criminals? Is there such a thing as a violent crime without a criminal? No other crime would submit itself to such analysis. And then she was saying yes. Now, Abby is reverse course. She now says yes. Obviously, abortion is violent murder of persons by mothers. The mothers are the criminals. Duh. She could only avoid the truth hits everybody. Truth hits everyone, as the police once sang.
Mm-hmm.
And a great song. And so now she admits it. I don't know if she remembers how much she was avoiding it, but I don't care. I'm just glad that the truth hits everyone. But now other conservatives and Catholics have to come to terms. They have to pay the band. Go face the music, however that goes. So do you want to play this leftist admitting in the starkest terms imaginable that if we ask, is abortion a crime? Who's the criminal? Is it a crime at all? Yes. Is it a violent crime? Yes. Do violent crimes require criminals? I guess the only thing left for us to talk about after you play this is such honesty good?
What is the backdrop for this video? They were like abortionists were meeting at like a conference or something?
Yeah, it's a conference of pro-abortionists, and the panelist was, I believe, an abortionist herself, or a facilitator, like a nurse practitioner of some kind. And I'm just going to point out a couple of lines that, as I play this, the audience should be perking up their ears for. One of them is, you can't ignore the fetus, and the fetus is a marker of how good of a job that you did. And then, given that we might actually both agree that there's violence here, ask me why I come to work every day. And then let's give them that it's violence, it's a person, and it's killing. So I'll play it, but just keep your ears pricked for all of those there.
You can't ignore the fetus, right? Because the fetus is your marker of how good a job you did, right? If you don't account for all the parts and you don't look carefully, you may be setting someone up for infection or hemorrhage or whatever. The fetus matters clinically to us. Not to mention that women know what's in there. About 2/3, over 60% of women are already mothers, and the remainder want to be mothers. They're not stupid. They know what's in there. So the idea, I actually think we should be less about denying the reality of those images, more about acknowledging that, yeah, that's kind of true. So given that we actually see the fetus the same way, and given that we might actually both agree that there's violence in here, ask me why I come to work every day. Let's just give them all the violence. It's a person. It's killing. Let's just give them all the violence. It's a person. It's killing.
So that's the main part of the clip that kind of went viral, and then the other part was that the women. No, she says it in a weird way. She says 60% of women are already mothers. It's actually 100% of women are already mothers.
Right,
obviously.
Right.
But she's saying that 60% of women have met their definition of motherhood, which probably means post first trimester,
right.
Which is in the medical literature what we would call after 20 weeks a fetal demise, where you would have to do a DNC in order to clear the fetal remains or whatever, which, by the way, is not a required procedure.
I thought she meant 60% of the women that they see that want an abortion have an older child already. I'm not sure, though. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I guess it could be that as well. But then she follows it up by saying they're not stupid, which is to say that kind of everybody who is there is all aware of what's happening. Nobody's actually it's the emperor has no clothes sort of thing.
All right, so let's take these claims. I liked how you pointed out what to listen for. Can we play it one more time first?
Can I just say real quick before you do? That is so peak women in 2023 that she's like, yeah, we're killing people, but don't you want to hear about my job and why I show up to my job?
Yeah. I just love my job. It's so...
So it actually gets way worse.
Does it?
We should finish it, but it does get worse.
Okay, can we play it all the way back and keep it going?
Yeah.
Okay, but look out for it. Women aren't stupid. Okay. Well, women know what's in there, meaning a baby, a human baby. You can't ignore the fetus. Fetus, this isn't a direct quote. She says something like the fetus is the marker for quality control. We're paraphrasing a bit.
Yeah.
She says, it's violence, it's a person, it's killing. Can we just be honest about this? That's what she says. So listen for those, then we're going to take them one by one and say, the left is more honest than the right. Congratulations, universe. You win.
The irony of this, too, this is who's speaking, at least in the second half, though it might be the same woman from the beginning, is Dr. Uta Landi, recipient of the PPFA Margaret Sanger Award.
Oh, sweet.
Which
Congrats.
is hilarious if nobody in the audience knows who Margaret Sanger is. Just do like a little Google, and you'll find like a remarkable early life of that woman. But all right, so from the beginning here, this.
You can't ignore the fetus, right? Because the fetus is your marker of how good job you did, right? If you don't account for all the parts and you don't look carefully, you may be setting someone up for infection or hemorrhage or whatever. The fetus matters clinically to us. Not to mention that women know what's in there. About 2/3, over 60% of women are already mothers, and the remainder want to be mothers. They're not stupid. They know what's in there. So the idea, I actually think we should be less about denying the reality of those images, more about acknowledging that, yeah, that's kind of true. So given that we actually see the fetus the same way, and given that we might actually both agree that there's violence in here, ask me why I come to work every day. Let's just give them all the violence, it's a person, it's killing. Let's just give them all the violence, it's a person, it's killing. Let's just give them all that.
Someone started to talk about her feelings about doing second trimester abortions. And it just spontaneously went into this very, very intense dimension of our work, of the feelings of revulsion, etc. And I decided, unprepared as I am, to read some of those comments to you.
It gets bad.
One of them said, I don't like saying I'm dismembering a fetus. It makes me feel bad. Another, an eyeball just fell down into my lap, and that is gross. And an eyeball just fell down into my lap, and that is gross. And but I'm saying to myself, this abortion is going well, and it's going safely. So another comment. My coping mechanism is to focus on the baby fetus. Reverence for something that was once alive and now it's not.
Wow. Yeah, so, okay, I didn't know it got that bad.
Yeah.
So all of these bitches chuckle because she said an eyeball in her broken English there falls into my lap and it's just gross.
And then she's my coping mechanism is, this abortion is going well. I'm going to focus on the fetus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the laughter is the freaky part. I think I've said this to you before a few times that when you're somebody who's administering, I won't say it on the show, but the jabby jab, as made by Jim Bob says, the jabby jab, or you're an abortion doctor or somebody. You have two options. You either wake up and realize what you've done, contemplate suicide, and hopefully come to Jesus and have like a complete change of heart, which is not what happened with Abby Johnson, despite what everybody thinks. Or you like quintuple down on your disposition, and you end up in a room full of women laughing about the various nuances of murdering children.
Right.
And that's what we just heard. I think obviously the creepiest part is the laughter. the
Yeah.
I'm here with my sisterhood, and we're
Yeah, so I mean, is you have center right or right of center mainstream Catholics like Lila Rose who insist on interviewing, ex porn stars, feminine, pretty much nothing but feminists. I don't know if she would interview a non-feminist. I think she does work with post-abortives. These are all folks that should, because of the havoc they've wrought on society, come to Jesus, go into a life of quiet contemplation. They're not our lead. For one thing, they're women, so they're not our leaders. Secondly, they're the worst kinds of women. Now, Jesus loves them too, but they should go into a life of quiet prayer and penance.
Women who have had abortions, you mean?
Women who have had abortions, ex-porn stars, anyone who's ever been a feminist with a mic. Just, wow, I cannot trust my own prudential judgment. Also, I'm a woman. The Bible doesn't allow me to teach men. But especially, I shouldn't be teaching other women the way the Bible does permit women to teach younger women. An ex-porn star, yeah, we get we get you're a cautionary example. We don't need you to tease out the truth there. You lived a hellish life. A feminist, same thing. Basically synonymous with the post-abortive. Abortion is feminism. These women should be ushered into the faith lovingly, quiet, private life of prayer and penance. They're not our leaders. This does include, of course, Abby Johnson and all the rest of that ilk that had abortions, aided in the killing of tens of thousands of babies, had the achadia for a while, the spiritual sloth, not to see what she'd done, the questionable provenance of her conversion, all that. I don't care. I'm glad she's in the church. Good for her. I'll pray for her gladly. The leaders should be men. The leaders should be strong men. The leaders should be people that have not been tempted with these most basic shortcomings. Now, having said that, when you get women on the left, women on the, I guess, right, whatever you call someone like a Lila Rose or an Abby Johnson, who have major differences between them, you're going to get funkiness, And this is heinous funkiness, what we just listened to. But I guess I'd like to take the comments one by one from the first part. I honestly, I don't do this fashionable thing where I don't do the Father Mike Schmitz where I'm like, this is about to make me cry, because I don't cry that easy. But listening to, I really don't. I wasn't about to cry listening to them laughing about a little baby's eyeball falling on her lap. All these crazy ass bitches. It doesn't make me want to cry. It makes me want to say stuff that'll get me taken off YouTube. Yeah. Which I say all day, every day. Yeah. When the camera's not rolling. So
you're also sitting with a guy who made these little ones. It's not. We've kind of been through it. We've seen the worst of the worst, and don't take our lack of tearfulness as any kind of coldness or sterility. It's just
enrages me. Men want to do something. Women and lower testosterone men want to show I'm with the partisans of life. It's I just want to go end it. Yeah, men are about action.
Women and effeminate men often think that demonstrating feeling is virtue.
Right.
That you
virtue signaling.
Yeah, which is virtue signaling. Mm-hmm. Real quick, touching on the who should be speaking in public forum and whatnot. Roosh V came to mind as somebody who I thought had great humility, and Will's actually interviewed Roosh on his channel. This guy who deflowered and mangled hundreds of women and wrote books about it and went on podcasts about it and wrote blog posts about it, and then realized the errors of his ways, disappeared for a while, became a hermit, converted to orthodoxy, repented of his sins, and now does very modest streams, and just is whoever listens to him, but he's not trying to recapture his ascendance into the public eye. And it's if these heinous women had half the humility that Roosh did, they wouldn't be there's still the emotional whorishness that an ex-porn star has. She's still doing the same thing that she did. It's just not sex work anymore.
Agreed.
It's like
such an unpopular
just
take.
Look at me. Like
Yeah.
now I'm a virtuous person on these podcasts. It's like stop talking.
Stop having men and women alike trying to get their eyeballs on you.
It's the same issue.
Yeah.
Disappear.
So, yeah, beautiful. I mean, someone had to say it, and you said it. But okay, so let's take these comments just one by one. No false segues here. Let's start with women. I mean, this is what's near and dear to my heart. This makes me mad. I have to get it off my chest. I don't feel like I've been vindicated, even though I've been on the record saying it. Women know what's in there. What's in there, meaning the uterus.
Yep.
What's in there, meaning a little human baby who's sweet and more innocent, as innocent as a post-fall concupiscent human being can get. No personal sin. Women know what's in there. We don't have to lie about it.
Yeah.
Nicholas Stumphauser, say what there is to say.
Well, you were right the first time. I misheard it. When she said 60% of women are mothers, you were correct. 60% of women already had kids. That's a shocking stat. That after you had a kid, you would think it was like 90% of women were first-time mothers and they were scared. Right. She's saying over half of women have a living child, so they know what this entire process is. And then the other 40%, she says they're not stupid. They know what's coming. So like 100% of women basically are not confused.
Right.
Which is shocking. Then wouldn't you say that kind of increases culpability quite dramatically here?
Of course. Knowledge is culpability. But even if, look, let's just go on the standard of review that human beings are willing to go on when they entertain conversations about basics, natural law, natural rights, murder, larceny, violence. You don't, when your kid that might not even have achieved the age of reason yet, your 6-year-old hits his little 4-year-old sister. We were dealing with this situation. It does happen just this morning, right? Gabe and Mir. Like, you go, what, dude, what are you doing? Now you have to be punished. You know what you did. She knows what you did. They're not like, what are you talking about? Demonstrate propositionally to me that me striking her constituted violence and that violence constitutes something illicit. Yeah. That's not how this works. It's a prima facie. It's a ipse dixit. You're like, you hit her? And then the kid with the little 4 or 5-year-old, 6-year-old is always tempted to lie and be like, no. It's like, I have it on my camera. I videotaped you. Hopefully they stop lying. But so we want to deal with murder of the most innocent people, little babies, qua the most superlatively obvious instance of hitting your sister. And you guys, parish orphans and retrogrades, I think you can handle it. But all the center-right Catholics, all the center-right conservatives on this issue have not historically been able to deal with it, even so starkly, so well, epistemically, as these ladies are. Women aren't stupid. Women know what's in there. We don't have to lie. Now, but you do. It's either that women are very, very stupid, on one hand, if they don't know that hitting your sister is violence, or that stabbing this little human being until it bleeds out and dies is murder. Or, you don't like me even entertaining the notion of women being stupid, do you guys?
Yeah, that's like...
But
that's worse than whatever you're about to say.
That's where, yeah, because culturally they're like, ugh, well, that... Okay, but on the other hand, that means that all of these broads, all these ladies...
They know damn well what they're doing.
Are murderers. Yeah, what are they? Well, I said what they are earlier.
Lady Macbeths.
Yeah, Lady Macbeth, thank you. What does Niles Crane say? Lady Macbeth without the sincerity, right? When he's describing Bibi.
These broads are either stupid or they're evil. It's like those are the two options.
Yeah, there's no. So you're caught between the Scylla and Charybdis. You're not going to get out of this saying, "Up with women. Women are the females are the." It's just not that. Women are in their worst way ever. And yes, I also agree in this sense. Women aren't stupid. They know what's in there. They went to the widget shop. Goods or services is widgets. They went to the widget shop and said, "Can you get me a widget for an affordable price?" And the doctor says, because the doctor's also satanic, he has secondary culpability here. He says, yes, I'll get you a widget, and I'll get it for a rock bottom price. Yeah. And the woman says, yes, I'm going to go celebrate with my girls. Okay, she found a place where she can procure a widget for a reasonable price. What's widget? The murder of her child. And then if these, I don't know for a fact that Lila Rose or Abby Johnson 5 years ago would have said they don't know what they're doing epistemically. But for them not to be a murderer, the woman who procured the abortion, they would have to not know. So then you're like, wait, what are you saying?
Then they're just a killer.
A killer of a thing that's not a human. Then all of a sudden you're losing the first premise. Is abortion a violent murder? Okay, do violent murders require violent murderers? I'm not getting where anyone's getting lost. I don't think you're trying to get it. I think you people out there on the center right are trying not to get it. And that's what's great about this quote. Women aren't stupid. Let's not lie. I like that the left is getting red pilled, even though they're like, look, we're Satanists. Let's just tell everyone that.
Yeah.
Why is the right not willing to be like, yes, these are our enemies. They're taking their own mask off. Why?
Well, because what's rule number 1 of feminism?
Never say anything negative about a woman.
There you go.
Why though? Why on the center right are they sensible on lots of stuff? Lots, but not all. I mean, we'd get in trouble on YouTube for saying all the issues they're not sensible on. But on this issue, you can say it on YouTube. I can say abortion. I can't say 2 or 3 of the other ones.
Right. Yeah. So I think it might have something to do with this question, which I have for you, which is, how much responsibility do the men have here? Because it's a woman showing up solo, I would imagine. I don't know what the stats are, but I'm assuming it's like well over 95% of the time. The husband's not sitting there with the wife like, yeah, like, tell me more about this. Like, he's probably not there. Or the father, even if it's not the husband.
Right.
You know, I'm sure there's a high percentage as well of where the husband doesn't even know. You know, the wife misses her period, and she's there at the abortion clinic before the husband even knows. Yeah. Or the father.
I want to know what the numbers are. People will go get them. We don't have a keyboard in front of us, so they'll go do it. So I don't want to commit to a number.
No, and I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm
But
curious.
what's legally required, people, is that 100, because the keyboard warriors are going to take to the keyboard. What's legally required is that 100% of the women have to sign off on it, and 0% of the men can force it.
Correct.
Legally. So,
but just we're speaking like metaphysically and patriarchally, I see this sort of as the same issue in the fall of, okay, where was Adam? The first sin was feminism. This sin is also feminism here. Where was Adam? Why in the world is your wife or the mother of your child at an abortion clinic?
Right.
Do you agree? Is like, what's culpability does the man have?
Right. This becomes a racial question because of the demographic preponderance of, one race having so many of these, not the other ones. But so we'll leave that aside. The culpability's high in the same way that the culpability's high for Adam. I mean, all of the patristics agree. Eve actually sinned first. Chronologically, I'm always like, that's based. You're willing to admit, like, we lost it all because of a woman. Thank you. Thank you, John Chrysostom. Thank you, Ambrose. Thank you, Augustine. Thank you, Jerome. That's based. But the patriarchal side of me wants to be like, but look at this cuck, Adam. We have to worry about sin, suffering, sickness, death, being parted from our loved ones because of this cuck.
Like, he didn't.
And it's
attend.
omission.
He didn't attend.
No.
He wasn't present. It's like, that's
away from the home, out doing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like, she's out of his purview here, and that's another thing that I think is probably violently unpopular to say. In the same, that's why it's like abortion is a woman's rights issue. It's like, well, have you considered perhaps that there should be fewer of those?
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah.
What are you saying about the 19th Amendment? What are you saying? Like, they have all 100% of every single right. It's like, well, they also are the hosts of life, and so if you give them complete and total autonomy, now they can leave the home in their vehicles, go to a different location, and murder a child, and you had no idea.
You can't say boo.
And you can't say anything about it. So
I've personally, I just want to say that I've told this before once, but many years ago. I personally once, as a teacher, I had another friend who was a college professor, community college, talk like a cholo gangbanger's girlfriend off the ledge of having an abortion. This dude, let's just call him L, dude had head tattoos. And the professor said, Tim, you're good at this. You're good at talking people into or out of things. We were on all night, a 3-way call with this dude, L, who was legitimately tearing up. Tough dude, head tatted dude. And he was like, I know this is wrong. Like my abuela taught me this is wrong. I know it's wrong because of my natural reason. He was saying good stuff. And his girlfriend wanted the abortion, and he was begging her. Remember what she was saying, Steph? You were on that call.
The baby will be in heaven.
It'll be an angel. It becomes an angel. He's like, no, you're okay. I don't know if I can answer women aren't stupid. Women. I mean, that she was saying some of the dumbest stuff I'd ever heard. But what else was she saying? It'll become an angel. She wanted that abortion, and Elle wanted her not to. She didn't end up getting it through the goodness and the graces of our Lord.
And we checked back in with them, and of course, like the woman, she loves her baby, and she's like mortified she'd ever even considered doing
She has
this.
to live with that.
But she has to live with
Yeah,
that.
imagine like when the child hits the age of reason or anything, like you're just looking at that kid, the kid's looking at you, and you know, like, I didn't want you to exist.
Right.
I willed you out of existence, like from the moment I knew you existed, and then like had a reversal of heart. Like that's just got to eat you up.
Right. Yeah, even Steph, you were the product of a teen pregnancy, but your mom and dad, as far as we know, always wanted you. They had some real fishwives in the background trying to make them do the wrong thing. But both, to your mom and dad's credit, thank you. Andy and Crystal, thank you both. We're strongly always against that. So God bless you again. That's not easy for a couple of 16-year-olds to do when they're getting the pressure. But they did it, and it's doable.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about this other third remark. You can't ignore the fetus. I simply, straightforwardly, didn't know what they were saying.
So she was, on the second time I got it a bit more, she's saying that the success metric of an abortion is what percentage of the fetal body do you have? And the reason being is if you leave anything inside, it can cause hemorrhaging or an infection.
Gotcha.
So she's saying the metric of success is how much of the fetus do you have. So that's why it's like, focus on the fetus, don't ignore the fetus. And then later they're saying the coping mechanism was focus on the thing. This is what the German lady with the German accent was saying. She was like, when I'm trying to deal with like these horrible things that are making me feel, the word she used was revulsion, I focus on the thing that was alive and is now dead, which is the fetus. And that's her mission. Her mission becomes, which again, kind of ironically, it's like the focus from our perspective is the fetus, this life, and the focus from their perspective is the fetus. But they have to remove all of humanity between our position and theirs.
The honest leftists admit the focus should be on the little human.
The fetus, yes.
The real right-wingers who are being honest will admit that this is about the babies. You know who the liars are out there? Not the far left or the far right.
It's the lukewarm.
It's the lukewarms. They say the focus should be on the women. Isn't that the ironic part?
So again,
that's what you hear from Lila Rose and Abby Johnson. The focus should be on the women. Why? Why should the focus be on murderers over their victims?
This is not a woman's issue.
No.
This is not a woman's issue.
No. It's like it's a patriarchy issue and it's a manslaughter issue, and it'd be kind of hilarious if you were like, yeah. So unfortunately, this has a well, I might have to speak in code. The subject matter of, for example, The Sound of Freedom or Little St. James Island. The super far left is like, yes, the focus is the children. The super far right, or I wouldn't even say far right, just like those with a soul would say like, no, it's also about the children. It's those in the middle that it's like, well, we have to look at the pedo, and it's like, well, yeah, kind of, but they're ancillary. They're the criminal.
Right.
They're the criminal.
Right.
Why are you focused on like the criminal's rights and the criminal's issues? It's like they're a criminal. Like remove. You're talking about the child here in this situation.
Right. So is it fair to characterize, I think you got it now, I understand, according to what you said. They're saying you can't ignore the fetus because we want an efficient surgical killing. And that's the metric of success. We, of course, on the real right, say you can't ignore the fetus because this is, truth be told, the only person we really care about in this. Yeah, if the woman avoids murdering her baby, that'll be all the better for her, but I'm not really concerned about her in the moment. We're saying you can't ignore the fetus there. They say don't ignore the fetus because you should cleanly pick it apart.
Yeah, you need all of it.
You need all of it. They get more money because they sell the body parts or whatever they do.
Right.
It's the people in the middle that are saying, really, we don't like abortion, but for a minute, ignore the fetus. Let's talk. This is a women's issue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think that's why I brought up why, how much culpability does the man have, and it's not because I'm trying to remove culpability from the woman who is a rational creature with a personal soul and the capacity to sin. This is theologically sound, that she has the capacity to sin and she has full responsibility for that murder. So I'm not trying to shirk or displace that responsibility. I'm just pointing out the irony of, by making it this woman's issue and by saying like the men aren't part of this, you are still trying to protect, you're still being a feminist because you're terrified of ever transgressing against rule number 1 of feminism.
Yeah. Agreed. So this also makes the fourth remark that she made more clear to me. The fetus is the marker for quality control. That's not a dense goal. Okay, now I didn't understand that before. Your explanation satisfies. It goes with what you said about number 3. The fetus is the marker for quality control. They want a clean, efficient, surgical, anatomically sound killing that will not harm the mother. But the fetus is the marker. They want to pick this little human being clean.
And as we know from live action, who's those guys?
David.
Yeah.
David Delight.
Thank you. They do, like the individual abortion doctors do get bonuses and perks predicated on how intact the fetus is. So that is their goal. Right.
Gotcha. Okay, so the big money line is, can we acknowledge this is violence, murder-style violence to a person, and it's a killing. Violence to a person, and it's a killing. She says this. Why are those on the right unwilling to acknowledge, on the center right, unwilling to acknowledge? She is explicitly calling for, let's have a more stark acknowledgement, a more line-by-line, letter-by-letter acknowledgement of the violence that is a killing, that constitutes a killing to a person. Let's just give them that, she says. Let's give that to the right. She's talking about people like me and you, this far leftist. She's saying, let's be honest as far leftists to the far rightists to say, look, this is a violence to a person, it's a killing, and it's being done by the mothers. Women aren't stupid. Now we're kind of jumbling it all together.
Yeah, so then I think once again, this goes back to what I find to be hilarious about my own political journey of, conservatism to libertarianism to wherever you would call where you and I land after you've kind of evolved past all of those silly distinctions into the world of reality, which is that the modern left and the modern right, the modern left is correct about the modern right, and the modern right just keeps denying it, when they should just be like, they should be standing for the things that the modern left is accusing them of. Right. And so in this instance, it's like, okay, women aren't stupid, women are murderers, this is violent crime, they know exactly what they're doing, they are mothers, and that's their right, power to them, good on women, they should go and do this whenever they want.
Right.
It's the people on the right that are saying, no, that's not what's happening.
Right.
That's not what's happening. Women don't understand, or it's not their fault, or
They're getting pressured into it.
All those things we need to focus on the child.
Yeah.
And it's like then we actually agree with the left, and we just say yes, except for you're just making a moral error. So I think that's what's happening here, is that the left is correct. The just right of center people, the modern Con Inc. people, refuse to, because they think you have to like own the libs on everything instead of just saying you are correctly describing reality. The difference is you think it's a good thing, we think it's evil.
Right. Because you're like lizard people.
Because you're like the spawn of hell.
Up is down for you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, so why, I mean this is a sincere question, why does the center right, or whatever you call it, I call it just the center, but why do all the normie cats out there, why does even though they say abortion's bad, why can they not, because they're feminists, they can't say that abortion has murders? Why can't they be honest? What's stopping them from reaching out and touching the light on this? I don't get it. You could say feminism. I know. I helped to red pill a lot of people on that. But why? Like, why do you care? Why can't you just say, don't believe all women? Like, sin began with a woman, because a woman we all have to die. That's a Jerome quote. What's keeping them away from it?
Well, you and I have discussed this a lot, that recognizing the perfidious nature of feminism is not the same as having the courage to overcome it.
Right.
And even the recognition of it confers responsibility in a way that most people want to avoid. So if the people's right of center, or even just vaguely right of center, acknowledge this issue, then they have to take action. And so first of all, they're not going to acknowledge it. But second of all, it's because I think, in my opinion, the action is terrifying. Being a patriarch is terrifying. It's not just like shit posting on the internet. That's like a 2% fun silver lining. 98% of it is actually burdening a level of responsibility that few men can appreciate or want to take on.
Right. Can you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
And how it concerns abortion.
Yeah. So in order to be correct about the abortion thing, I already said 2 things on this stream right now that's like a cancelable offense of like, we should probably question the extent of women's rights. That's cultural suicide. Like, what the hell are you talking about? We should question women's rights. Well, if you give them full and complete rights, as men have, then they have the ability to murder children without the consent of the father.
Which they currently enjoy.
Which they currently enjoy. Have you considered this?
Under the lie that men are making them do it. Right? That's the weird thing. Men are making them do it, even though men are precluded from the process. Men don't have a say in abortion.
So I think it's, in order to be, and it's easy, it's super easy for like these male feminist rightists, the Turning Point USA flavor of Christian right-wingers, to be anti-abortion. It's really hard to say, well, why are you anti-abortion? It's like, because I actually think it's important to that men and women aren't equals. Dare you say that? Dare you live that out? And then immediately it begins to terraform every other aspect of your life. How you interact with your siblings, your parents, your friends. Yeah. You're going to immediately lose friends, as you and I have both lost friends and loved ones, and things just get weird, like, rapidly. And I don't think most people aren't willing to do that. You immediately become a retrograde. You become a pariah.
Pariah, yeah. So, my last question, the outro, that's all good stuff. So my last question was, is honesty about this stuff good? That violent crimes require criminals, abortive mothers are criminals. They're actually the worst criminals in society, worse than any, I don't know, take your pick. An abortive mother is worse, according to Thomas Aquinas, than a serial killer, right? Sure. Because a higher duty is owed. Worse than, I don't know, a slave owner. Worse than a rapist. Worse than a pedo, right? This is just a fact. If you take moral theology and action theory in moral philosophy seriously, then this is the worst. These are the worst people in society.
Which they don't, because I told you that that pedo catcher Pop Squad on Instagram was like, the only thing worse than a pedophile is a racist. It's like their moral hierarchy is just destroyed. It's
by there you mean centrists.
Centrists or leftists. Centrists or leftists don't have a moral hierarchy.
Yeah.
They don't have the categories for it, and they don't have the theology for it. And they've refused natural law. And that's another thing too. By refusing the natural law of patriarchy, it gives you license to be confused about everything else. Or you could say the error is upstream that permits the inversion of the natural law with respect to relationships and patriarchy. That also gets you to the point where you can say something as asinine as the only thing worse than a pedophile is a racist.
Right. Or something as asinine as the only thing worse than someone who kills her own child is a pedophile. That's asinine too, right? It's because there's a clear moral hierarchy here. It's part of the natural law, the way it communicates with our natural reason. But yeah, both of those are absurd statements.
Right. Yeah, but with respect to whether or not the honesty is a good thing, like, I would imagine that there's no world in which it isn't, unless you're somebody wherein the honesty is forcing your hand to take action that you're petrified of.
Yeah.
Which I think is what is the case with the center right. And I'll be curious to see what this video does, because that's like perfect boomer fodder video. Like any abortion video with subtitles on it just gets shared by like everyone over the age of 50 so quickly. Yeah. Like, can you believe they said this?
Yeah.
So I'm very much prepared for all of them to miss what the honesty implies.
Right.
Like, which is what, again, this is what the boomer generation and everybody older than them, and then all like TPUSA flavored con anchors miss, which is that the left is correct. They just think it's good. They're honest and they are correctly describing reality.
Yeah.
They've just inverted morality.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get caught. Like, I think a lot of like boomers and stuff,
Yeah.
they think that
Yeah.
they got caught.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, oh, what are they gonna say about this? We heard what they said. Like, this is what they're doing. Like, this is how they live their lives.
I think that's the beating heart of the video. Thank
Yeah.
you, Steph. She said, "Can we acknowledge this?" She meant loudly, like as in through a bullhorn, that it's violence, person killing by the mother. Quote, "Let's just give them that. Can we stop treating women like they're stupid? Can women acknowledge this? Can the left acknowledge this?" The only people stupid enough to believe this anyway are centrists and center-right goons. You know, these are the stupidest people in society, are center-right people.
Well, because they don't want to live in a world that's that bad. They don't. I don't think the center-rightists really could tolerate living in a world where evil exists.
Yeah, they wouldn't tolerate it constitutionally. They'd have like nonstop diarrhea or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they'd wither and die, but I just think they'd be like, what do we do? Well, they'd have to talk a lot tougher to say, look, I'm anti, because I mean, this is the position. This is, I think, the correct way to end this video. Of course, I'm a practicing Catholic. I'm not a left Cath. I'm not an extremist of any flavor. So yes, abortion is murder. Yes, it's a violent crime. You're like, oh, good. So, but what does this mean about all of these murderers? They're like, what do you mean?
There are none.
There are none. None murderers. None mothers, I guess, like Scotty Small says in The Sandlot. Who are the murderers? Just all the mothers that are out there killing their babies, that are going into doctors and they're saying, get this thing out of me.
They're not
Get
walking,
it out of me.
These broads, they say they don't know what they're doing. They're not walking into Home Depot or to Target and like flagging down like an attendant and saying, what do I do about this problem? They know not only where to go, but specifically the type of doctor that takes care of it.
The Google bar, the search bar, when they're like, where do I go, is where can I get someone to kill this thing or something like that. That's someone in the, play devil's advocate. I like to be pushed. Someone challenge me on that. That what do you think, centrists out there, that the average search bar looks like when these, whether they're young mothers or 30-year-old mothers or whatever, black, white, whatever, mothers are saying when they're looking for their nearest Planned Parenthood? I'll grant you, it might be, where's the nearest Planned Parenthood? But if they don't know about Planned Parenthood, I would say that all of those women among that population, it would be, where can I go to get my baby killed? Yeah. That's the telos being expressed by the ergonomics of the imposition of the question. Is like, look, I need to go get a new pair of hedge clippers. Where do I go? Lowe's or Home Depot? I need to buy it for the rock bottom price. They're like, I need you to kill this thing in my womb. Can we stop saying they're stupid? Go ahead, Stacey.
And also the point on pressure. I've said this before on other podcasts. I don't believe that. I think that what these women are calling they got pressured into it is that one person in their sphere of influence said something positive at all about getting an abortion, and they're like, oh. And then I felt pressured to get it.
Sure.
Because you have to get your shoes on in the morning, you have to get in a car, walk over there, get an IV, get all that stuff or whatever they're doing inside the procedure to get that done. And you're telling me on every single, somebody has a gun to your head throughout the entire process of not eating 24 hours before surgery and all of that. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. I don't buy the pressure stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because like women are the most protected class in society today unless you stack on top of it like, well, I was about to use
other intersectionality.
Other intersectionalities.
Yeah.
But they're the most protected class, and it's like, you don't think that if you're 16 and have like a baby that you can't just like say it out loud near like 4 other people and your life isn't going to be immediately taken care of?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
can you express what you mean?
Just the palm fronds being laid down for any woman in society right now to walk over, to have all of her needs taken care of.
Right.
You know, hiring her over men who are qualified, admitting her to college over men who are more qualified. Anything, you name it. Like, she could probably... I just don't buy the idea that the moment you become pregnant, it's like, my life is over. Yeah, there's scandal. I'm sure there's scandal. But then that's like a pride issue, not like a pressure issue. Your pressure then is the tension between your pride and a human life. And it's like, get over it.
I think a contrast point would be helpful. Like, if somebody said, look, I got kicked out of my bank. Here's who I think runs worldwide banks. I've never killed a human being, by the way, but I've been debanked. You've been debanked, I think. Mm-hmm. You've been kicked out of banks. I can't go into society because I said, here's who does a lot of crime or whatever. You will be driven from society. You will be, if the left and the center has their way, you will not be able to shop for groceries for under the heading of viewpoint discrimination, because you think so-and-so runs a bank or runs the market or runs, Hollywood, or because you think that not all people do the same amount of crimes. I'm not even saying who it is. I couldn't even imagine who. I'm just saying...
it's not a knowable thing. Honestly.
It's not a knowable thing. So I'm not saying who it is, people. I'm just saying, if you said something that you're a fully law-abiding citizen,
right.
You've never killed anyone, especially no one of your own blood. You've never raped anyone. You've never done anything really wrong. You just look at the statistics and somehow you divine some sort of conclusion about the statistics on matters such as these. You can be driven from your bank, from your church, even from your market. You will not be able to trade once they're through with you if they have their druthers. Whereas what he's saying by contrast is, a woman can say, look, I performed or aided in, formally cooperated in 10,000 abortions, and I have someone in mind.
Just clicked with me.
I aided in the slaughter of 10,000 abortions, 5 figures. And,
movie deal, book deal, speaking engagements, speaking fees. Wait a second. What's going on here?
What is going on? The devil, the Prince of Darkness runs things down here, which the Bible makes very clear.
What a phenomenal point.
What would that mean? Yeah, think about it.
The appropriate response, I know this is going to be so wildly unpopular, but the appropriate response, I think, for somebody like Abby Johnson is like, let a man do that sort of speaking, and you just spend the rest of your life in private prayer and reparations for the horrendous amount of crimes that you committed against children.
Didn't you say something like that to her on Twitter before she blocked you?
I think I did.
And she said, no, this is when Abby Johnson blocked Steph. She said, no, I won't. No one, no other man or no other women. This was frightening, diabolic pride. No one could do what I do. And we're like, what do you do? I don't even know what you do.
Well,
all you did is, you had a conversion after, in some way cooperating with the murder of, 5 figures, I think, of babies, at least 4. And then you told your story. And
you're sorry publicly.
And said you're sorry publicly, which is good. We want you in the church. We just don't want you talking.
You're not our I would say to somebody like that, I'm glad Abby Johnson, converted.
Of course.
I'm very
Praise
glad.
Jesus. Just go away.
Praise Jesus
go
Christ,
away.
But you're not our representative.
Go away.
You are not the anti-abortion representative because of the horrendous amount of crimes you committed against children. You don't set up somebody if a war criminal changes his mind and starts doing good things. He doesn't then become the face of the movement because he then decides what I did was wrong. He excuses himself and says, I'm wrong, I did something horrible. Let somebody who has not committed these horrendous crimes speak for this movement.
Look into the man who murdered Maria Goretti.
Yeah.
And what he did after that, which was like a cloistered life of private holiness, then eventually went to Maria's mother and asked for forgiveness, received forgiveness, and then continued to live like a cloistered holy life.
Then went away.
Went away. And it's like, men can do this. Roosh did it. Maria Goretti's killer did it. Sorry, I don't remember his name. And they can actually become holiness. But it's the same girl boss mentality that ascended Abby Johnson through the ranks of Planned Parenthood is then what keeps you on the stage at CPAC.
Mm-hmm.
And the same diabolic pride that makes OnlyFans women make $2 million a month, which some of these girls are making. When you defect and then go on the whatever podcast or go on a Candace Owens show, it's like you're still just whoring yourself out. Your clothes are just on now. Mm-hmm. And that's great, your clothes are on, but can you please stop talking?
Yeah, stop the whoring. Just go away. I'm glad to have you in the church. It makes my heart truly glad. We want you. You're welcome. But you need a life of quiet prayer and penance. Lila Rose just did a big tweet. Which ex-porn star should I bring on my show? Recommendations? And I said, yeah, I do have one. None. What are you doing? Meanwhile, all of the same gatekeepers on the center-right Catholic media will say things like, I would never talk to so-and-so who is of the ilk of things that you can get demarketed for. I would never talk to him. Really? How many babies has he killed? How many babies has, if it's a woman, has she killed like that? I'm trying to say amorphous here.
Right.
Really? None babies. How many times has so-and-so ever stripped for money or performed sex acts for money on a webcam? None? Huh. And they're totally, they're not fit to live amongst us. But on the other hand, if you took off your clothes for money, you ensnared men, scandalized men, got them. That young woman who took off her clothes might have been the one to hook a man for the rest of his life on porn. He has culpability too, but this young lady killed 10 or 15,000 babies. But we're not focusing on that. Now we want to go back to focusing on the woman after she focused on clinically, surgically dismembering the fetus or aiding in whatever way.
I'm just saying,
I'm sick of it,
honestly, in an alternate world, if I had been involved in something like that, so it's a horrible, horrible crime, it would just be on my knees in prayer. In prayer and in penance for the rest of my life. Yeah. For that, even if it were just one. Just constant prayer and penance. And I think this is the problem with the conservative movement, is that we are very forgiving, almost too forgiving, where we're allowing people who have done horrible things to come back into the space and say, now I'm your leader. Now I'm going to lead you guys on this issue. And it's like, no, I'm glad that you converted. I thank God that somebody who has done something that horrible is converted, but you're not our leader. You are not our leader. You never will be. I want leaders who get this issue and have always gotten this issue.
But they're not. It's not because we're too forgiving. We're too forgiving of a certain demographic.
Yeah. It's a grift. It's because they have the right has an endless transmutative capacity to turn everything into money, a book deal, a shitty Christian movie, a speaking fee. They have a supplement that you can buy, an advert. They have an endless capacity to do that. But I think, just for me, the takeaway from all of this, which was a really fascinating discussion, is just the rule number one of feminism, is that people will do whatever it takes to not offend a woman. Right. They'll do whatever. That spell is so deep. It's deep so magic. Deep magic, dude. Yeah. It's the most incredible witchcraft I've ever seen, that we will allow, we will permit the deaths of children and platform their murderers before we dare offend a woman.
Thank you. And it's not like an official announcement. It's been something it's been percolating with me for the last 12 to 18 months. I don't want to work with dishonest people anymore, even for a minute. It's not like I ever have, but in whether we're talking Novus Ordo, TLM communities, I only want to work with Catholics that are just fully honest.
That's it.
And I can't. I mean, this has always kind of been. It's been the brand. Look, I want to be boutique. I want to grow slow. I don't want to grift at all. Yes, I want to sell my books, but buy all 4 of my books. That's not grifting. These books are truth. I'm immensely proud of them. Steph's book's amazing. We're just not like I ever have willingly said, well, let's work with people who grift a little. But I have no more tolerance for the mainstream and the mainstream. There's arisen a mainstream kind of trad Catholic that is just as feminist as the mainstream Con Inc. feminism, that's just as feminist as the mainstream Novus Ordo kind of Ascension Presents feminism. I just have no interest in it. And it's not just about feminism, it's about any issues. I want to, and we can't even do it fully here on YouTube. We have to do it on, that's why we're doing Rumble exclusives. I just want to work with the people that are truth sayers, and
well, there's just no time.
It's going to be a shift. No, there's no time.
There's no time. Like, what do you think? Well, how much more runway do you think we have to screw around without saying everything, and not being cavalier or unscrupulous? But if you can and you know the truth and you're not saying it, I'm uninterested in speaking with you. And there's a natural glass ceiling on people who are willing to speak the truth. There are that's why I kind of was always skeptical of Edward Snowden versus Julian Assange.
True.
Snowden has a perfect Wi-Fi connection talking to Joe Rogan for 3 hours. Julian Assange was thrown into a hole and they threw away the hole. Which one do you really think was blowing the whistle on things? Who are the people that you can't say their names on YouTube? What are the subjects that you can't even say without it disappearing? You're gone. Everything that you care about. I mean, you've been kicked off YouTube and Patreon and stuff for coming close to that. There's a natural cap on how high you can ascend in that way, but that's where the remnant's going to be.
Yeah. And this issue's close to undiscussable. It's not there yet because it's still burgeoning from the Catholic world where we really force the issue, but it's still burgeoning out. But after the left finds out about it, my prediction is in 2024, we're not going to be able to do feminism vids anymore. That's why I've been going hard on it.
I think so.
Well, there was a memo that came out that went public that they're going to start cracking down on it as they are on the alphabet issues related to 1, 2, 3 ABC. Like Michael Knowles, my friend, a great thinker and talker who is mainstream, my favorite of them, says, look, I'm going to stop. I can't go to ABC 1, 2, 3 anymore, so I'm going to go to feminism. But I got this idea from Tim that feminism is the original ABC 1, 2, 3, so it's kind of better, but this isn't going to last forever. They're going to get hip to the fact that we've gotten hip to the fact. And so after that, it's just going to be like, okay, we got to get these shows out now. Is honesty about child murder good? Yes. The left says yes. The right says yes. It's these people in the middle that are lying to you. And, sooner or later, this is going to be as toxic as, Alphabet or some of the issues that I won't even name when I was talking about how you can get kicked out of your bank or your market. That's what's coming. We're almost at 2024, folks. Remember, Agenda 2030 is the name of the game. They want to have most of the pieces in play by 2027. So you're going to see big change over the next 3 years. They want to make transhuman levels of change, adaptation, morphology, etc.
Yeah.
And they can impose them from top down. I know a lot of you guys think you're based and red-pilled because you wore a mask that said I hate this mask or whatever. But you're not. It's from top down. We gave away, I'm just telling you, I have 4 books about 4 things you can do to change your life, and it's not sitting around bitching about Latin Mass. Go to a Latin Mass if one is near to you.
Or swearing.
Yeah, or swearing.
By the way.
Yeah. I don't swear, I don't curse, I cuss. Okay?
Yes.
But, yeah, it's 4 things you can do, but I'm going to give you a black pill now. the stuff that's coming between now and 2027, 2028, it's already fastened. It's in place. So all you can do is read these 4 books, take these 4 pillars of being a retrograde, and start talking more loudly about them, and we're going to see what our quorum of what our remnant is, and if they're willing to be ballsier. But at this level of conservatism, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be near enough, like the sheriff tells Dan Evans in 3:10 to Yuma. It's not nearly enough.
Well, I don't think the lukewarm knows that it can be bad, so they don't think the brazenness, the high tea approach to these ideas is necessary, because they don't actually believe in evil. Like, we believe in evil, so we know that it has to be met with like absolute fortitude.
Right.
So we're saying these things. Then like, well, you're just mean. I'm like, no, I just know what the problems are. I know how bad it actually is.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little mean too. Like, sue me. Like,
okay.
People are saying in chat, like Abby Johnson, some are defending her, and they're saying that her story is helpful to others in the abortion industry and their conversion. And I'm just saying to that, I'm just saying, hey, listen,
I disagree.
I disagree. I think, what about all the saints, guys? If there's a good enough story that God wants to use somebody in a really important way, God will get that out there. Like, the saints, the martyrs were not out there promoting themselves, doing lecture circuits, getting movies, all of those sorts of things. But yet here we are with those stories. If God wants somebody to be made an example of, he will do that for them.
Trust me, we know a lot more of the score than you do.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Like you know, behind the scenes, there's a lot.
It's also like, what are you bringing to the table? Like, there's a difference between Paul, who was Saul, who was murdering Christians, and then started building churches. That's a absolute categorical difference to Pol Pot murdering 100 million people and then saying, by the way, I have ascertained that this was not good, and nobody should murder 100 million people.
Yeah.
What the hell are you bringing to the table?
Right.
By saying I was an abortionist, that was wrong, now I'm not.
Especially if there were strong Facebook circumstantial evidence to suggest that Pol Pot really made the change because it became more financially profitable for him. I'm just talking about Pol Pot now.
Yes.
And there are things you can go out on. You should search old Facebook entries made by Mrs. Johnsey, Pol Pot, Mrs. Pot, about why she really quit.
According to your opinion.
According to, in my opinion, these are compelling. I've seen things that look like old Facebook entries that, unless they've been falsified, most people say there aren't. Many left-wing mags have commented on the true reasons for Mrs. Johnson leaving. And guess what? It involved according to the reportage of, I'm forgetting what it was, Miss Magazine or something. I might be getting that wrong. According to the reporting of mainstream leftist rags, it was a lack of a raise and a lack of appreciation for my good work or something like that. Something very near to that. If I'm making a mistake with a word or two, forgive me. I'm out of here. And you can pimp the center right later. You can then say, okay, well, I'm gonna grift. So you do your own research. Don't listen to me. I'm mainly opining, but there is plenty of stuff out there. Do your own research on why did Abby Johnson really leave Planned Parenthood. The chronology is rather compelling, says I. That's in my opinion. You do your own research. There's lots out there. We're talking 5 to 10 minutes of Google searching on it. I just think the center right is the wide open grift zone. It's Schwerpunkt. Its blind spot is being grifted by these people that say, is abortion a violent crime? Congress people are sellouts for answering no. Then you're like, cool. Do violent crimes require criminals? And they're like, no.
Or I murdered 10,000 people and I found out it was murder. It is murder.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we knew that.
Will you speak at my high school?
Yeah. Will you talk to my daughters? You are exemplary. How it's like when Homer is talking about Timmy O'Toole who fell down a well, and he's like, yeah, he fell down a well, and then he's a hero, Lisa. And then Lisa's like, why is he a hero? And then Homer's like, well, he fell down a well. how's that heroic? Then he's like, well, it's more than you've done. Like, okay, I hear the murdering or aiding in some way in murdering 5 figures or at least 4 figures of babies. Okay, I don't hear
What have you
heroism
done,
there.
Tim?
What have you done?
How many babies have you killed to have this opinion?
Right. Right. Yeah. I came by my opinion that the natural law is natural and my reasons synced up with it.
Yeah,
That-
you don't. But
Some of us had that opinion that killing babies is bad without killing any babies.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Those people should be the leaders.
How unmeritorious of you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've already said enough for several lifetimes on this show. I'm just trying to be honest. I'm sick of the dishonesty. And the honesty at the expense of a ginormous crowd is always something that's attended at least my YouTube channel since, I lit out on my own. But this feels like next level. I'm just sick of it. I'm not even going to play the game 1% anymore. As much as you guys probably don't think I've been pulling punches over the last 4 years, whatever stops there we're pulling them all out.
Yeah.
Thanks for appearing with the show. You're going to see a lot more of filmmaker Nick Stumphauser because he is the new 4th on CMask. It's going to be dope. I hope to you're going to see a lot more of what me and Nick are working on. It's a lot more than just the matchmaking program. It's going to make news, but we have to unroll it with a proper chronology.
It shall rock thy world.
It shall rock thy world. It's going to be big.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Always fun with the raconteur that we engage in.
Yeah, no, of course. God bless you all out there. I'd like to take a minute just to apologize to none of you.
To absolutely nobody.
Yeah. I mean, it's just do your own research on the Abby Johnson thing. A bunch of you are going to be twisted off on it, and
Don't care.
it's going to ruin your day.
Don't ruin ours.
Don't ruin it. No, just 5 to 10 minutes of Google research. Why did Abby Johnson really quit? There are 2 articles that I'm predicting will come up that will set you right straight. And you'll be like, holy cow, Tim's not lying. Everyone else is. God bless you, Dansville. See you next time.